another match point.
Incredible third set here.
They changed their strategy a little bit and they fought their way back in.
There it is. Game, set, and match.
Hello and welcome to the 2024-25 APTA Tour. We are live from the Glenview Club in Chicago, Illinois, bringing you the Chicago Charities Grand Prix with live streaming brought to you by the APTA membership and our tour presenting sponsors Volley and Corient. Tournament support has been provided by the following local sponsors: Wintrust, Illinois Bone and Joint, Viking, CPTC. I'm Guy Moore, along with Jesse Class, bringing you the women's quarterfinals between Aubrey Banks and Gussie O'Sullivan, the number 9 seed, and the number 1 seed Macy Elliott and Lynn Burris. I have, just to identify the players, on the top left of the screen, wearing all black, and those shoes look kind of cool, Jesse. Little white and green shoes. That is Lynn Burris. To the top right of our screen, in the purple top and black pants, that's Macy Elliott. To the bottom right of our screen, we have Gussie O'Sullivan. She's in the white hat, all black top and bottom. And on the ad side, we have Aubrey Banks in the black hat and black top and bottom. So, Jesse, welcome to the telecast, the stream here. Glad to have you with me. Tell us about the scoring and the umpire, please.
So our chair umpire for this match is Dave Najedlik, and the match format, all main draw matches are regular scoring, best 2 out of 3 sets.
Well, I tell you what, Jesse, I just was fortunate enough to call the last match with Aubrey Banks and Gussie O'Sullivan. They had a super match against Gabby Blinn and her partner. Long 3-set match, a lot of good adjustments. I tell you what, Lynn Burris and Macy Elliott are 2-time national champions 2 years in a row, and they're a lot of power and a lot of expertise and a lot of knowledge and good experience. So on the flip side, Gussie O'Sullivan and Aubrey Banks made some really good adjustments in a tight match. And the thing I liked about watching them play, too, is they are a true team. They communicate well. They have a good time together. They smile a lot. And Macy and Lynn the same. They've just spent a lot of time on the court. So should be a fun match to call with you.
Yeah, it looks like Burris Elliott have gone through the draw pretty smoothly so far, not dropping a set so far.
I do have an update, actually.
And that's a big deal, too, especially as you get into these later rounds where the matches assumably would be a bit longer. The weather in Chicago's, I don't know, in the mid-50s. The sun's still a factor here at the Glenview Club, especially in that far right ad corner. It's dropping a little bit, but it was certainly a factor in the previous match. So we'll see if players, Gussie O'Sullivan and Aubrey Banks just played on the same court with the same conditions. So it'll be interesting to see if they take advantage of the fact that the sun could be a negative on that other side of the court.
Also some interesting shadows at this time of day.
Very much
cast
so.
on the court.
For sure, and they do make a difference. I think the longer the match goes, the less it impacts it, but certainly in the beginning. All right, it looks like Lynn Burris is going to take us out.
We're commentating that. We might have to also match outfits like famously, Henderson and Satori do. Next time on the stream, we'll have to coordinate that. Deal.
Jesse Macy's got a huge roller of an overhead. When she gets it going, players, her opponents, feel a lot of pressure. the last match Gussie O'Sullivan played too, she was just a warrior in her corner. I mean, she just did not miss, and that was probably one of the differences in that match. She hung in there long enough when she literally had her back against the screen and didn't panic, no anxiousness, and set up her partner, Aubrey Banks.
Well, in baseball, 30% for hitters.
So a quick start for
Yeah.
Burris and Elliott, right?
Yeah, moving through quick this game.
And I tell you what, they do like to play fast. So
Patty, I don't know if you're trying to get me to leave the free throw earlier or not, but that might do it. That was soul crushing. You hear talk about fundamentals.
and I tell you a big shot on the court that I think O'Sullivan and Banks should be looking for is Aubrey Banks' backhand is a true weapon. And you know, the better the lobs. Yeah, and there's that roller. There's that roller we were talking about.
Trouble on that short lob there.
And I think, Jesse, that's what you're going to see a lot of when they get the short ball. And the thing about those rollers too, they're very heavy. And what I mean by that, they got a ton of RPM on them, and they're generally deep. So your first thought when someone's hitting a ball with that much spin and whatnot is, do I let it go or not? And two, depending on the pace, getting out of the way of it, it's tough to let that go to the screen because it just doesn't come off. Just stays so low.
Thanks, Patty. All right. How much time do I have for the next one? Yeah, probably. Good.
Hey, Betty, can you hear me? Hey, great job. You guys did fantastic.
Patty, this is
We are obviously running just that match, but a little long, so they're getting the umpire off, but hopefully we'll get started here in 2 minutes.
And you could see early on, you could see, look, the sun's a factor. You see Gussie O'Sullivan staring right at it. It's tough. And I tell you, maybe that's a great ball in the corner. Sometimes, too, when the sun's tough coming from the deuce side, it's easier to let your partner in that overhead position hit the overhead because they're not looking at it. (30-15). Aubrey Banks serving. She used that underhand serve a lot too.
Yeah, it looks like she's got great control of it. That ball's staying pretty low.
She does, and she's confident in it. Great lob down the line. It's going to create that movement. And that's when Burris and Elliott become really dangerous, is when the ball's moving from side to side, because it creates a lot of breakdown in positioning at the net. They communicate so well in the backcourt. Look for a heavy topspin return here, Jesse, just like that. Such a good move by Elliott, though.
A lot of pressure there with that return coming in. The corner of your eye, you're hitting that volley. As you see your opponent coming in behind it. Not a lot of space to put that volley.
You're right, and when you have a ball that's hit with that much topspin, you really got to pay attention to it, because in terms of watching it the whole way, because the ball will just come off your paddle unexpectedly if you don't. All right, 40-30 here, or add in for Banks. deuce here again. Serving at love 1. Another thing you'll notice too, Jesse, is when that ball's headed towards that nick, Lynn just drifts over to the middle. So if Macy has to say help, Lynn's already there. She's not still moving and scrambling.
Yeah, their communication is, you can hear it from here, is pretty amazing.
I'll tell you what, that's when they roll like the national champions they are, when they have the ball in front of them. And that's when screens become tricky for the net team, is when the baseline team's actually behind the ball and those screens become offensive. A lot of firepower.
Watching Banks serve here, you know, it looks simple to hit this serve in, but
That's not a simple serve, you're right.
yeah, that's very fine margins there.
Well, I was saying in the earlier match, you know, when you hit a serve, that topspin serve like that, you've got to trust contact. You can't decelerate into it. You've got to accelerate through.
Which is easier said than done, especially when there's some pressure.
For sure. And
And-
the thing I like about Burris and Elliott is their drives are to a spot. They're not trying to win the point to set up something just like that. So when I was saying earlier too, Jesse, that Burris and Elliott like to play fast, this is kind of the tempo that I was talking about.
Right.
You know, they like to drive the ball a lot. They like to blitz. They like to transition. Obviously, they know each other so well that they know where their partner's going to hit the ball, just based on their experience. So they can cheat and move earlier and get in there, just like you saw Lynn Burris do right there.
Rushing the other team a little bit
100%.
with their athleticism
For sure.
and, like you said, communication. There's a
So that's the roller that is just one of her best shots, Elliott.
again creating some chaos, creating some movement on the court. There it is, guy. That's the one you were talking about there. Do you let it go? Do you take it off the
For sure.
screen?
So we have Burris serving at 30 love.
Great backhand volley there.
Notice a different serve there, too. She hardly tossed that ball with any height. And the reason for that is to keep it low, which it was. So far, too, Jesse, this is a very different match from Burris and Elliott in terms of how the match was played before, in terms of the pace of overheads at the net. Just a lot more rollers than they saw in the last match.
Big serve there.
All right, another game point here for Elliott, serving at 40-15. There's that different serve again.
Yep. Great return.
Sure was. And I tell you what, not a bad idea to stay back and break that rhythm from Aubrey Banks early on, because that backhand is a real weapon. It's the biggest shot on that side of the court. And that's Jesse. That's why I was saying it's not a bad idea. It's just to stay back, because she stayed back because she couldn't get in the last 2 or 3 balls anyways, right?
Yep. Big forehand there. A lot of pressure being applied.
And that's what I mean. They're giving 0 up by staying back. They're not giving up anything. Actually, they're probably putting themselves in a position to do what you saw just happen.
Seems like Elliott's serve to this ad side is more of a full tennis, call it a kick serve.
For sure.
But very aggressive. Is there a reason, Guy, that her serves are so different to each side?
I think what Banks has been doing to the return is part of it, but I think she just probably trusts that bigger serve to that other side. All right, we're at 3-love. And again, this is the pace that Lynn Burris and Macy Elliott really want.
So if you're Banks O'Sullivan right now, what adjustments are you making to sort of change the tide here? Get your feet in the match.
It's a great question because, I mean, the obvious answer is they better slow it down because it's 3-love very quickly. Interesting topic to think about. You know, if they can't get their lobs deep because of the roller, and the roller's putting a lot of pressure on them from both Elliott and Burris, you know, it's not going to hurt them to hit some spot drives because that volley's not going to hurt them near like the roller is. You know, the other thing too, Jesse, is they just had a long three-set match, and Elliott and Burris have been winning their matches pretty quickly, playing this style. So hopefully it just takes them not much longer to get their feet under them and get their focus back.
Like you said, totally different pace of match here.
Oh, for sure.
And definitely probably need a little time to adjust. Their break was, what would you say, 15, 20 minutes?
That's it.
A little positive energy there, though, from Banks O'Sullivan after that point, which is good. Like to see that.
I'll tell you what, they do a great job of that.
This would be a big game to keep them in this first set.
The other thing too, and you're seeing Gussie O'Sullivan serving kind of the same way Macy's was. It's warm out here today, so it keeps the ball a little bit lower. You know, when you serve big, that overhead serve, and it's coming into the screen and coming off the screen straight ahead, it becomes offensive. There it is again.
Sometimes I find when I play, it's hard to read that ball off that back screen, that drive, in terms of seeing where it's coming as a volleyer. A little more unpredictable than when it's off the deck.
For sure. I would much rather volley a ball off the deck than a ball coming offensively off the screen.
Good transition play there. Good bail.
And again, I haven't seen Burris or Elliott hit one drive with the intention of winning the point.
Good point. Really good point.
They're going to get their looks. So far, as long as they are patient for it. Great ball in the nick.
Good little spot there.
Nothing Macy Elliott can do about that.
So this is their second game serving that's gone to deuce add, extended game. See if they can get a little different outcome on this one here.
See if Banks and O'Sullivan switch here too, or maybe they want to keep this look going. Reason I say that is because they were so successful with that look in the backcourt the previous match.
Yeah, the players are still doing volleys right now.
Leave there.
That's just a great spot, height-wise. That's why it's that kind of in that high chicken wing area. Notice too, Jesse, Elliott and Burris do such a good job understanding when to lob and when to drive, and the ratios behind them. You know, they're going to wait until they get the look they want.
Right.
Just like
There
that.
it is, yep.
Yep. Tell you what, that's great transition from O'Sullivan and Banks.
You said, I'm sorry, guys. You said, you know, these faster points. That it seems to, as you said, be a big advantage for Elliott Burris here. They can extend some of these.
Well, it's interesting too. You know, at this point in the match, you say to yourself as a team, you know, what changes can we make? Because again, it's a quick 4-love lead, but you know, you got to ask yourself, are we better playing them at the net or on the baseline? But right now, Elliott and Burris aren't missing anything. So
Yeah, they look very confident out there right now.
they really do. But I do say, knowing that they like to play fast, the longer the point goes for O'Sullivan and Banks, the better they're going to be right now at this stage of the match.
These are some really heavy rollers.
Jesse, let me tell you about one of our sponsors, Volley. Train in real game scenarios with Serve and Volley, the world's first responsive play drill. Volley's new AI-powered feature tracks your position, the ball, and returns every serve for targeted practice. Try it today on the Volley app. All right, love 5. Aubrey Banks serving.
At this point, Guy, what's your strategy take at down 5-0 first set? Probably not going to be able to come back from a 5-0 deficit at this point. But what are you trying to do to set up the rest of the match?
Make them work, make them earn it. Even if they could win one game here, 2 games, just change the momentum going into the second set. We've seen it quite a bit. You know, teams win the first set, go up big like Burris and Elliott are right now, and then it gets a little tighter towards the end. They still lose the set, but the second set's very different in terms of the momentum, because that momentum had started to change at the end of the first set.
Maybe a little confidence boost, just getting a couple games, a game or two on the score line there.
For sure. I just think so far the tempo of this match really, really favors the score.
I would agree. There's that underhand serve we talked about, sort of a forehand topspin serve. That
Yeah, I mean, both Burris and Elliott have such big returns that You know, at this point too, Jesse, you just keep trying things. You know, whether they're up or back right now, it's tricky because Burris and Elliott are playing so well. But all right, this is what we were talking about. We have deuce. And I haven't seen Aubrey Banks go to the overhead serve, even if she kind of has lost a little confidence in the topspin serve. I haven't seen her do it, but
Yeah, Patty, they're making it hard for us to help everybody.
all right, set point here.
Other side of the net, we're a little more fortunate that Allison Williams out there makes it a little easier.
Great dig
Great.
by Elliott, yeah, right?
Way to cover that nick.
Right about 2 feet from us. You know, let's just see if this tactic works. They're obviously putting more pressure on them with those rollers. O'Sullivan and Banks. That's what I mean right there, Jesse. I mean, Macy Elliott could have easily driven that ball again, but the lob was where she was more vulnerable to.
So back to deuce, and as we said, this would be a big game if they could find this one here, get a little momentum, a little confidence. Great volley, great first volley there.
Tell you what, it was a great volley because Burris was all over the net. Anything less than that.
And a little off pace ball wins the point.
All right, set point here. And there's our first set. We'll be right back in just a moment after these messages right here on the APTA YouTube channel presented by CSM Media.
Want to see how volley can transform training at your club? We've got a great offer for you. Gather 30 of your club friends and you'll get a free 30-day trial of volley. Experience firsthand how volley's trainer can help everyone improve. Increase reps and track your progress, all while training smarter. Don't miss out. Visit getvolley.com and unlock your club's full potential with a 30-day free trial.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
Welcome back to the APTA Tour. We're here at the Chicago Charities in Chicago, Illinois, with this quarterfinal match between Macy Elliott and Lynn Burris. Macy Elliott is serving in the purple shirt. Her partner, Lynn, in a blue shirt and black pants, ducking at the net. Aubrey Banks in the blue top, black pants, just returned that ball. And her partner, Gussie O'Sullivan, in the black and white hat. Jesse, I tell you what, a quick first set. I think that based on what we saw, things have to go slower. That tempo is not sustainable for Banks and O'Sullivan. I give it to them. They've tried a couple different. They've tried to slow it down and speed it up, but so far Burris and Elliott just really haven't missed. They've just played about as solid of a set as you could see.
Not missed, and also put a ton of pressure on them with the drives, with the roller overheads.
But I will say this, just from what I saw the previous match from O'Sullivan and Banks, they will fight. And I do believe the longer the point goes right now, the more it's going to favor them, Banks. And it's just tough with it's just tough with the speed of the rollers and the spin of the rollers. It's a very good matchup for Elliott and Burris right now, this style of play.
And as you said, it's a totally different match than they played 20 minutes ago in terms of pace, spin.
It couldn't be more opposite.
It's a hard adjustment to come out here, and you've been playing for 3 sets at one speed, and then to have them sort of turn up the dial on you.
Well, the fact of the matter is, if you're going to play a team, well, let's just take even a couple steps back. This is the reason why they're 2-time national champions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly not obvious, but obviously their style of play is very, very effective. And sometimes, you know, when you have a team playing this well in Elliott and Burris, you try a bunch of different things, and guess what? At the end of the, you know, in the middle of the second set, when you're still losing the way you are, you know what your best strategy is? Just hope they stop playing that well, because they, you know, when you get these teams in a mode where they just don't miss and they're applying the pressure that you're seeing right here.
Dangerous combination. Not missing and a lot of aggressive pressure. There it is. Got the look she wanted.
You know what I was going to say, too, is that if you're not familiar with playing teams like this, it takes you maybe a set and a half to get used to seeing the pace.
Right. Great dig in the corner there. It's a heavy roller.
And you notice, too, Burris, when Elliott hits that roller, how she's hanging on the net knowing that O'Sullivan cannot lob that ball because the ball's already out in front of her. She can't get under it.
Good point.
And I was just going to say, they just feel their backs against the screen, and it forces you to press like that because you just, frankly, get tired of moving around and not having any chance at offense. All right. Banks serving at 30-40. Tell you what, it's you know, when you just have just a little bit of deceleration in that serve, it's tough. That topspin serve.
When you're coming up against all this pressure that Burris and Elliott are applying, it's hard to hold that paddle, you know, with a loose grip and to get that acceleration. Your natural tendency is to grip it tight, kind of grit your teeth, and that's when you may see the faults start to come in.
You're right, Jesse.
Great get. One thing, Guy, I'm noticing with Burris, Elliott is just the different speeds they use on their overheads. Even just their rollers alone, you've got probably 5 different roller speeds they're hitting that make it really hard to play from the back of the court.
Yeah, very, very, very good point, Jesse. And notice as well that from a net perspective, how much they are on the same page with who's hitting overheads. I don't think I've seen them both look at the same ball wanting to hit it in the 30 minutes we've been watching this match.
Very deliberate up there.
That's why the volleys are so good, because they know who's volleying and they know who's hitting the overhead.
Right.
They are not in each other's way. Just a few points ago, Lynn Burris was touching the side screen over there, and that's even more important when you're swinging big like Macy and Lynn both do. Look, you see where she is?
Yep.
That's what I mean. Giving Macy Elliott room to swing without having her be in any type of in their line of sight at all.
And that's kind of hard if you're a club player. You're almost taking a step off the court, and it feels like you're leaving your partner to do everything. But in this situation that you're talking about, that's very helpful to know you have the space to hit the shot you want to hit. Partner's not crowding you.
Well, especially in those times when, wow, good try.
Great point there.
Great ball by Banks. Good speed. They're making them work. Making them work. Yeah, it's more, too, Jesse. I look at it too, even from a club perspective, it's more about actually knowing what your job description is based on your positioning at the net. Like you said, just some different overheads where there's this.
Great backhand there. Gets him the net.
And that's one of the big things that would be a great adjustment for O'Sullivan and Banks is getting Banks to see more of those balls.
Get more of those, yeah, more of those backhands.
And the tough thing about that is that comes with better, deeper lobs because the ball's going to go to the middle. But when all those rollers are taking place, your first thought is just defend. And then a lot of the tactics go out of mind.
Surviving up back there. Those rollers, and that's a.
Right. There's a start.
There we go.
There's a start right there. And it's kind of what I just said. I mean, you just hope they don't play as well. A couple faults there from Lynn Burris. And they took advantage of the free points, which is for sure 100% what they have to do. All right, O'Sullivan serving at 1-2. But, Jesse, too, even though O'Sullivan and Banks won that game, the game was still very fast.
Yeah.
So, listen, I hope that from a momentum perspective, it's something they could take advantage of. But I still think that pace favored Elliott and Lynn Burris.
Good point.
But you see as well that them winning that game has slowed down Burris and Elliott just a bit.
See some good body language out of Banks and O'Sullivan after that point. Looks like she read that one. She was out of the way and just.
She did. The ball's just moving so quick, and sometimes it's so hard to slow your hands down when the ball's that fast, but you got to have slow hands on that ball. And it goes back to what we mentioned earlier, Jesse. Aubrey Banks and Gussie O'Sullivan came off a long 3-set match, and Macy Elliott and Lynn Burris have been winning their matches pretty quickly. But now you see O'Sullivan and Banks starting to settle in. see if they speed it up here. Here we go.
Yeah, there's that roller.
And you see one roller sets up the next, because if you get another short lob like this, you see it just firepower. And then that's, Jesse, too, that's what causes a player on the baseline to press, because they don't want to keep seeing that 3 and 4 or 5 times in a row. Because it's just, you just start to have to react. Both teams are playing a good, important point here.
Yeah, they sure are. Ooh, she had the ball she wanted.
All right. Macy Elliott serving 3-1, second set. Chicago Charities, quarterfinals, first set. Elliott and Burris, pretty quick 6-love, but Banks and O'Sullivan have slowed it down here a little bit, changed the momentum just a touch.
Great move there.
A quick love 30. And I think too with Elliott that their hands are so good that she doesn't have to take a risk hitting a big serve. And the other thing too is with this temperature, that ball's not sitting off the screen as a potential screen drive either. But with that serve that she's hitting, she's not going to miss it.
And one thing I thought was interesting, Guy, before that serve, you could see Burris actually give her a signal of where to place the underhand serve.
For sure.
Which, it's hard enough just getting that serve in, or that push serve, I should say. I correct myself there. She's actually placing that ball where her partner's telling her, just to make it easier for the next shot.
Well, I think we probably all agree the toughest shot in paddle is the first volley. So you better not match up a weak serve to a weapon on the other side. If you're going to do that, just stay back and you neutralize it all. That's a great move. And they've had a little success with that, that blitz.
That's been working.
I'll tell you what, I like the fact that they continue to try different tactics and different formations to change the direction of this match.
And with that play, they're actually able to put the pressure back on Elliott Burris.
Yes, so Burris is telling Macy Elliott where to serve and where she's going.
Great leave on that volley. There it is. Corient is the official wealth sponsor of the APTA's 2024-25 season. Corient is a fee-only wealth manager who puts their clients at the center of everything they do. Learn more at corient.com.
All right, 2 serving 3, second set. Aubrey Banks serving. Great move by Burris.
Macy showing that she can hit the forehand, the backhand, all different speeds, again, all different paces from the backcourt.
And this is when they're just a very difficult team to adjust, and they just don't let you feel comfortable. Great lob, great lead.
Yeah.
And there was never a question that they weren't going to let that bounce.
So, Guy, in that point, we saw Macy hit an overhead that was almost like a lob. She lobbed it deep, almost to the baseline as an overhead. What's the purpose of that?
Well, I mean, anything deep's not going to hurt you, but I think it's from a disguise standpoint, she could have easily driven it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now, the next time that they get the same look, they're not going to be sure what she's going to do. And that's
great move.
Such a good move. And you can see that's their pattern. Macy's creating the blitz opportunities, and Burris is so quick to the net. Yeah, you know, Jesse, good question. And that could go not only from, you know, something up high like that you could drive. It's when teams are expecting you to drive every ball you should drive, their positioning just gets better. But when you drive or lob some balls that you wouldn't normally lob, it softens them up for sure.
Yes, I can reset the players for us. So right now, serving is Taylor Page, Marcus Lopez up in the net. Returning, we have Charlotte Cora, and in the ad side of the far court, we have Allison Gilbert.
Let's see if she takes a little pace off this. Nope. Yes, she trusted, doesn't she, Jesse?
Yeah. Yeah, she accelerated, went for it, and got a
You
great
just
result.
Smooth your grip a little left, which forces you to pronate through the serve. Puts more spin on it.
Big serve right there.
All right, 15-40. Game number 7. Important game. Ooh. You can see, too, Burris and Elliott, when they know the drive's coming, they just get very still and get their hands in the right spot.
Yeah, that's a great point, is how still they are when that ball's about to come quick at them. There's no panic. They're not trying to cover every part of the court.
Yeah, and a lot of us refer to having fast hands. Well, that's the definition of fast hands. Being ready, but what you just saw from Lynn Burris is that fast hands actually means slow hands because you're not moving. I mean, when the ball comes big at you like that, you're not meeting any type of energy with energy. There it is.
Yeah, we definitely had a little momentum swing in this second set so far.
Well, I do believe that the longer the point goes, obviously the more it's favoring. And right now with this tempo, O'Sullivan and Banks. Even though they're under a lot of pressure during the length of the point, just like that. But you just got to hope for an error like that from Macy Elliott.
Well, now they're starting to get some. They're starting to get a few,
Right.
few mistakes. That first set, there were little to none.
And that's why you have to appreciate O'Sullivan and Banks hanging in there and not going away, because you're right, Burris and Elliott didn't make a mistake that first set. And I've seen Burris and Elliott before play a first set like that, where they were just unbeatable by anybody, and then just kind of come down from that a little bit in the second set and have to grind. So
I think the lobs are getting a little deeper, a little higher.
for sure.
They've had a few more push overheads. And that's changing things a little bit too.
Great lob by O'Sullivan. It created that movement. And the more you can move Burris and Elliott, the better, because their positioning not necessarily breaks down, but it certainly isn't as good as when they're standing there hitting rollers like kind of like this. You see Macy's not moving at all. That's when they're solid.
Nice long point here. It's could be a big point to win, these long ones.
Yeah, I agree. You know, win or lose that point from O'Sullivan and Banks, I like the tempo for them. Great dig.
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
Just tough.
You know, I mean, they don't want that tempo. They like the tempo of the previous point. See how quiet those hands are, right? That's a tough ball right
What
there.
a get there.
And you see how quick Macy Elliott was bailing there, right?
Yeah.
And not only that, did you see Burris ready to cover it?
Yep. Yeah, they were out of there before she hit that ball.
The other interesting thing, too, about where Elliott was bailing, she went into the green. That means if she was going to get hit, it would have to be hit out.
Right. Ooh. Just a huge hard roller.
All right, Jesse. 5-3, Elliott serving. I will say this, that, you know, in a match like this where Burris and Elliott have played as clean as they have, and O'Sullivan and Banks fighting. But, you know, sometimes it's the only players that could beat Elliott and Burris right now are Elliott and Burris. I mean, in this particular matchup, it's just so much firepower.
I'm just shocked by the different speed, spins, I can just imagine being on the baseline dealing with all that and trying to get any sort of rhythm. It's tough.
Notice, too, how Elliott in this point is just staying back and letting Lynn Burris do whatever. And then she'll, as soon as it becomes back to neutral there where she's not controlling the net, she just fades back to the baseline. But Elliott was almost playing in an I formation so she could go to where Burris wasn't.
Right.
She's there.
Yep.
See, the drift was there. She saw they were going to play Burris there.
Before Macy even hit that drive, you see Burris coming in and applying the pressure, knowing that the drive's coming.
Not only that, she knows where she's going to hit it. Macy's not going to hang Burris out to dry. I mean, they've just played too long together. I mean,
Right.
She knows they see the court the same way.
Right.
So then you can cheat and do exactly what she's been doing the whole match.
There's that backhand. Great backhand drive. Down low.
Yeah, she commits so early to it. Controls the pace so well. Tell you what, Jesse, it doesn't feel like 5-3, but it is 5-3. If Banks and O'Sullivan can find a way to win this game, I mean, we're at 5-4.
Yeah.
I mean,
Pressure changes a little.
you know, I think it doesn't feel like 5-3 because the tempo hasn't really changed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of stayed the same. Kind of, meaning it has.
Great
That's a
spot.
Great spot.
Great spot. Here's a break point.
Smart ball to Labo, Sullivan. Make sure you're getting to the point. I think this point that they definitely want to get Aubrey Banks' backhand on the ball.
I would agree with that.
And you'll probably see Burris and Elliott do everything they can to keep that from happening. All right, Deuce. Elliott still serving, 2 points away from the match.
Great return.
Such a great spot.
Yeah.
I mean, just right at that right hip, but not even just the right hip, but just a little above it where it's just tricky to volley it. You know, too, Jesse, with this style of play from Elliott and Burris, you know what? When you're on, you're on, and I mean, the roller coaster is a roller coaster. I mean, with that style of play, you're gonna go through spurts where you make some mistakes, and other teams, whoever they're playing, have to take advantage of that. And I do think O'Sullivan and Banks have, to the best they can.
Good move.
Nice hands. Wow, great.
Great get.
She was up by the gate.
Oh.
Oh, such a great point.
Crowd enjoyed that one.
I mean, she could have walked out the door right there.
That was
So she's opening up, like if she's looking for score, it shouldn't be bothering her. It'll be more of a factor.
I think in the women's game, that's probably the most devastating overhead from Elliott.
that hard roller.
Yeah. The reason it's so tough because your first thought process is I got to get out of the way.
Right.
And then
Stay
you're,
safe.
And then you're chasing it.
Right.
All right, match point. Elliott serving
Yep.
here. Great hands by Burris. Switching in the backcourt. Getting back on their sides. And that's why.
Great.
That's why.
Great point there.
They got the look they wanted.
Yep.
And that's just the way it's going to go for Banks and O'Sullivan. You could see how they're getting better at defending, right? Because they're getting more used to it. Obviously, they're well in the match. You play the same match tomorrow, it could be a completely
Right.
different result in terms of the first set. Certainly, the pace isn't bothering them as much.
Right.
Because they've just seen it for almost a full 2 sets.
Tough drive.
All right, break point here for O'Sullivan and Banks. You think that big roller is going to come out this point, Jesse?
I think if they get the chance, it's going to come out. But these lobs, deep lobs.
Probably later than that. We already talked about getting older and older. But he is the definition of what health is. Competitive on the court.
You can hear Elliott calling for 2 there. Letting Burris know she has time. And there it is.
There's the break. Wow.
There it is. All right. Banks and O'Sullivan to serve. Down 4-5, back on serve in the second. I think the biggest change between the first and second set is just the fact that O'Sullivan and Banks are used to the tempo.
Right. Yeah, I would agree.
And by that happening, because they're more consistent, you're seeing some more errors from Elliott and Burris. And part of that reason is because they want to win points quickly. They don't want to play the long point.
Right.
So sometimes they'll be willing to press just to play their style. So the interesting thought is this. Obviously a tight set here. What adjustments do Elliott and Burris make based on what's been happening in this set? Even though they're still winning it.
That's an interesting question, yeah. The match has changed at this point.
And I think you're starting to see it a little bit. They're becoming, certainly from the backcourt, becoming a little more patient and lobbing more, changing their lob to drive ratio. Just saying, hey, they're not hurting us with their overheads. Let's wait for sure till we get the right ball.
Right.
To drive, I should say.
Brings us to triple match point here.
Well, Jesse, great match. I'm so happy that Banks and O'Sullivan hung in there and fought in that second set. And again, Macy Elliott and Lynn Burris, just a tough opponent today, this afternoon. Thoughts?
Yeah, great playing by Burris Elliott the whole way through, and it was nice, as you said, to see Banks and O'Sullivan kind of get into the match and have a real chance to win that second set.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a wrap for this women's quarterfinal. Stay with us for our next match coming up at 4:30 for another women's quarterfinal. Thank you.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.